Welcome to the English edition of La Magia de Sanar podcast. My name is Carla Melo, and here I want to share with you my internal healing process. What inspired me to share all this is to see tons of women believing that they are alone in their journey, thinking that this is happening only to me, feeling that no one can understand them, feeling guilty and stressed about not finding the magic pill that would let them to get the result they want in their lives. So, what I want you to realize is that any problem that we repeat in our life is just a symptom, the surface of the iceberg, a little wound in our skin, because what is really inside it goes far beyond what we can see with our eyes. But anyway, whatever you're struggling with right now, I just want you to know that you will handle it. You will find the answer you are looking for, and the best of all is that the magic formula to get it, it's already inside you. We all have everything we need. We just need to find the way to get it. So here I will share with you my magic toolbox with all the resources that I have discovered along this beautiful process called healing, where I have to get to know myself more than ever. And hint hint, this will be your superpower, and I just want you to dare to do it. Dare to reinvent yourself and become the powerful and amazing woman you deserve to be, so you can shine and live every single day full of magic, with purpose, freedom, happiness, following your intuition, and above all, realizing that you are enough and you can come through anything you want. Follow me on Instagram as carlameloc333. I will be so glad to chat with you about anything you wonder about this beautiful process. Good morning with everyone. Welcome to a new episode of La Magia de Sanar podcast English edition. Today I have a very special guest because it's my boyfriend Chris, and we will talk about what happened in this process of healing and of overcoming my eating disorder while we were building a relationship. I will tell you a little bit about the context of we met around 3 years ago, and in that moment I was deeply in my eating disorder. I was with bulimia, I was super orthorexic, and I didn't have a good relationship with my body and with the food. But we met, and actually I want you to listen how it was for him experience in the other side, because sometimes we feel that everyone notices all our issues, but actually that's not like the things are in our head. So let's talk about it. Hi Chris, welcome here.
Thank you very much. Very nice to be here.
I would like to know how was for you to experience this thing of my eating disorder. Before I let you know what happened, did you notice something regarding my eating habits, my appetite, or my way of exercising? Did you think something about that?
Well, since I didn't know you at all, I didn't know how your habits used to be, and since I was in love with you, I was very accepting whatever you did, or I didn't really pay attention either to what you put on your plate or anything at all. So I think it took maybe a year or something before you kind of told me that you had an eating disorder, and that I actually believed it, because I think you have mentioned to me earlier, but it wasn't anything I noticed in our daily life that seemed like you had any problem at all.
I remember one time we traveled, actually it was to Turkey, and we went out to have a breakfast in a buffet. And I remember you were saying, yeah, but will you eat more? And then I thought like, oh fuck, he probably is thinking that I am like super fat because I eat this or this. And I have a lot of, this voice in your head that is trying to make you feel that all the things that you are doing are noticeable. Sometimes I just eat more than you.
Yeah,
and I have to clarify that he is much taller than me. And actually I is still eating more than him sometimes.
Yeah, especially now under Corona, and when I don't train, I eat less than you, I think. But yes, I noticed that you eat a lot, but To be honest, I think that was just cool. Like I'm very like little judgmental with people in general, and like anything is normal for me. So the fact that you ate more than me is not really something that I think about at all. I notice it, but it was just like, okay, she's like that, and it's totally fine with me.
Cool, but what about? I remember it was so difficult for me. Like, for example, I told you I was puking, also like throwing up my food, and with all those issues. And when actually I realized I had an eating disorder, and I decided to tell to you and my mom. What did you think when I told you that? How I was feeling?
Shocked, of course, because that's not at all what I thought from what I knew about you. So I was very surprised, and yeah, I kind of still don't believe it. Because obviously I have never, or not obviously, but I have never heard you or seen you doing that. I think you told me you have an eating disorder, and then maybe half a year later or some months later you told me like this with throwing up and such, and it's nothing that I had experienced, and it's still like difficult for me to believe that that used to happen.
Actually, that happened, and since then I started my journey of like going to the psychologist and going to the nutritionist, and it was a huge like demanding of energy process, and there were days still that I feel so bad, and maybe yeah, in that process we moved together. So we started like living together and sharing all our meals and having all those moments, you know, that you can't just be alone. And I remember all these physical changes start affecting like the relationship first with myself, and also when you don't love yourself, you don't feel confident with who you are and even with your body. I remember one time you told me like, oh, you look so great and such, and I just started crying because I didn't feel sexy at all. That kind of affect our relationship too. What did you think back then?
I remember that day very well. Very well. It was maybe the first time I believed you when you said that you have an eating disorder, because I remember your reaction. You started crying, and maybe not seeing you cry before that moment. It was like something really deep and difficult for you to share with me. I felt like, fuck, this is real. This stuff that you've been talking about, and wow, I just felt very like shocked and surprised, and also like it was difficult to see, you know. Obviously for me you have always been beautiful.
Another thing that was super interesting for me in this journey of personal development is that I started like noticing these voices, you know. The first thing I think that is important for you to heal the relationship with your body and food is to separate yourself from what you are thinking. I start like telling to you, the voice says something like, the voice says that I am fat, or the voice says that this food is too much for me. What did you think when I start like being so vulnerable and being so transparent with all my feelings? Because sometimes I just really feel like, I remember for example, sometimes you just don't want to eat, and I say, oh fuck, I feel like really like fat, or let's say like big, if I eat so much and you don't want to eat. What did you think about that?
The voice is a funny thing, because you say things, you share basically everything now. Maybe before you hold something back, and that's in some cases good to do, because it's not everything you need to share. But for you, I know it has been a tool, so it has actually given me a better insight in what goes on in your head, particularly with the eating disorder, because it's very difficult for someone external to understand what's going on internally, right? But if you have as a habit, tell me everything that you think, even when if you know it's rather wrong or stupid or whatever it is, I get a really like good insight in what's going on. And first of all, it's interesting. I also learn stuff from that. I kind of get to know you better also, but obviously the voice is not truly us. It's kind of a part of our brain trying to control us. and we both know that what the voice, one of the voices, the typical voice that we hear maybe most often, is not real. So I think for you it has been a very great tool to separate that voice from yourself. And also I'm good at reminding you to like, okay, but you know that's bullshit, right? Or I have, for example, not befriended your voice. I have said, okay, but I don't like your voice.
Exactly. So we can say like being vulnerable and let you know the real inside that I'm experiencing is a great tool for your partner or even from any member that you trust in your family to support you, because they can actually know how you are you really feeling.
Because we want to help, right? But how can we really help if we don't really know what's going on? So the more we know, the more we can help.
Okay, let's talk now about self-development work. And I think I met you when you have already done a lot of self-development work. But actually, all the the hugest self-development work that I did was when I was with you. How was for you dealing with that? Because I have changed a lot, really a lot, but in some way we have managed to that not affect our relationship. How was for you dealing with all these changes? Because it has been through all this eating disorder, even my job, even my personality, everything has been like a huge change.
Yes, but like you said, everything but maybe the core values, they have always been there. Also, like you said earlier, is like your partner doesn't really care so much about the details in your how you look, because you're not in love with the body, you're in love with the person. That's one of the few advices my mom gave me. Always like look for someone that is like good on the inside, because you will grow old and wrinkly at some point. So I think the fact that we share the core values has been like a key for our relationship. And all the other changes has made it interesting, because of course we learn from each other. I have my own journey and you have yours, and the cool thing to share that is like we learn from each other. So if you have a new insight, for example, you tell me that and I can also learn from that. But there is a saying that either our relationship is growing or is dying. And growing could be growing together, but it could also be growing individually. Because as long as we keep working on ourselves, it will somehow benefit the relationship. And I feel that everything that you have gone through and have done these last 2.5 years has only been positive for us. So anything that you realize or any insight that you have or any like belief that you get rid of is making life easier and more enjoyable.
What do you think it has been in the most challenging moment in our relationship regarding like self growth?
Self growth can be difficult and hard, and of course it's scary to like share things in a very like deep level. And I remember there was a time like when we like, okay, we don't need each other, we are good on our own. And it was like, okay, so actually I don't need you in my life because I'm fine by myself. And I remember that was like maybe what is it called, like a game changer in our relationship, because always in the beginning you are like, you want to kind of protect your partner or like hold on to them and you want them to be dependent.
Exactly. Or you have this fear of losing, so you do everything to keep your partner happy with you.
And since we talked about this voice earlier, like I remember like that was maybe a mantra that we both repeated a lot for a long time to kind of get used to that mindset of not being dependent on each other.
Which mantra do you mean?
Like that, I can manage on my own. I can be happy by myself.
I don't need you, but I choose you.
Yeah, I don't need you.
And also, I think like a huge thing for like build our relationship, regardless how much you change or I change. I think like it's to do everything like it's the last day that we are together, being totally free of being ourselves and being totally free to tell whatever we want with each other and do whatever we want, and knowing that if tomorrow something happens and we are not together anymore, we have done everything that we wanted.
Yes. Okay, but now I remember something else. Like, to be authentic with each other is also like for me, I think maybe more, to always be like honest about how you feel or what you want to do. It can be really difficult because I think I'm a like typical pleaser. I want the people around me to be happy, and I maybe sometimes or often set them their needs over my own. It was more important for me to make sure that you were happy than to make sure that I was happy, or more important that you get to do what you want instead of I get to do what I want. So that for me has been maybe something that's one of the most important things that I have learned in this relationship. And another thing that I remember now is...
But I have to say there, like, what you mean is that if we are not happy with ourselves, we can be happy together.
Yes, that, but also to dare to be yourself, really. And again, this fear of losing. Okay, so we have agreed we don't need each other. Okay, then I have to make sure at least like she is pleased in any kind of sense, or she get everything that she needs or wants. And then it's easy to like not prioritize yourself, or you limit yourself, or you don't maybe say everything that you want to say because you are afraid of hurting the other. So that's again was like another step to just... Now it can be like, I'm mad at you. I'm not trying to hide it anymore.
But that's true. We have learned like to be so transparent that we can say, okay, now I am mad. I don't have a reason, but you are here and I will be mad at you.
Yeah.
And not taking things personally, I think it's also like something like a key, super, super important to like build a strong relationship.
And it's also building blocks, you know, like you started maybe with telling me about your voice, and that has led to our relationship, or to maybe it has inspired me to also tell you about what I'm thinking instead of keeping it inside.
Exactly, and now you said like something super important, and I think it's the magic for any change or succeed in anything like between your family or in your couple, because it's not about, I have never asked you to change or to do something different from what you are, but everything that I have done in myself has inspired you to take more care about you, or dare to be more vulnerable, or even let's say with the food thing. How I plan my workouts, how I have my food is like, okay, I want also to do this and this. It's like, you are crazy now with proteins, with macros. It's like, okay, I have to admit that Chris has a extremely good relationship with food, but it's like you don't impose anything, but you inspire. And that is with all our things, because we haven't asked to the other to become as we are. I think that respecting and accept how the other is has been a huge thing to also to another building block, let's say. Right?
Definitely. So self-development it's almost weird for me to imagine a life without it, because what do we want? We want to be happy, we want to fix our past. We want to enjoy, learn from each other, learn new things, keep our brain and mind, soul, spirit, body healthy. It's so important in anything that you do, so I can't imagine a life without. We talked about this yesterday actually, and for me it's not even self-development anymore, it's just living. To read books now is like, I don't think about it as something external, it's just so integrated and something that I really love to do, and I just love to feel that I'm taking it to the next level, and I can even see in my friends and family like
the impact.
Exactly. And it's just small things, like the more you know about yourself and things in general, the more you will be able to help others. And obviously...
Exactly. And also it's like not blaming the other for something that you are experiencing.
Yeah.
Because first you have to heal in yourself. And you mentioned something huge about like that we have to heal our past. Because we think like, for example, with you, a huge trigger for me was the drinking. Because I have all these things with issues I had with my father, that he drank a lot. I still like sometimes when you drink I feel like not so safe or something, and then I tell you, that's the thing, when you are like authentic and you tell the truth about how you are feeling and knowing that that's like something maybe that it comes from your past, then the other person can understand and do something to help you to deal with that, but not blaming, because that you drink it has nothing to do with my past, but knowing that a lot of situations that we are experiencing, probably you are reacting because of your last experience, right?
Yeah, alcohol is a difficult one, because I could choose to not drink to be with you, but I would take some part of me. I wouldn't be myself fully, and I think that would make me less of a person to you. Exactly. Because how I would feel, because I would in like subconsciously blame you. Exactly. That I couldn't enjoy a beer with my friends.
Exactly, because that change you will do because of me, not because you really wanted.
Yeah.
And that's the thing in everything. For example, sometimes you join my rituals, or sometimes you don't understand what the hell I'm doing with my courses and such, but you respect, and that's I think is the huge thing in every sense, because sometimes I think 3 weeks ago I just wanted to eat seafood, and is that okay? But I want to eat meat, and anyone judge the other, it's just accepting.
Or when I was sick and wanted the burger, you mean?
Exactly, also that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you want a burger, but actually I don't really want it. I want to eat like the regular food that we have. And there's no judgments. I think it's basically the freedom to be whatever you want to be.
Of course, but to some point you also have to meet your partner. So you don't want to be like super selfish and always do things your way also. I think it's equally important to like adopt. Like for example, you don't like drinking or to drink alcohol, but you join to the party. And I think that's very like necessary part of because you want to know that side about me, and you can go to a party and have a good time even if you're not drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very nice that we can share that. And on the other hand, like you said, like your ritual, and like there's a full moon and we go to the roof terrace and write some letters together, it's a part of you. I could also choose to not care at all, but for me it's important to share these things. Now it sounds like alcohol is super important for me, but it was just an example.
No, yeah, it's different thing. Like music, let's say.
Yeah.
Like you understand not now that you are so hooked in plugins, like just to listen to each other, even we don't understand the other's world. I think it's important to feel like connected. I think connection, building ways to connect with your partner is really important, and more now that, For example, sometimes we are just home all day and we don't feel connected.
For example, since we talk about food a lot, I come from a family with no traditions in food, and I have never really cared about what I eat. I know the difference between, let's use the term, unhealthy and healthy food, and I have kind of slowly found my way towards like the healthier side, I would say. But maybe because you have an eating disorder, you have an extremely high interest in food, and that has also impacted me. So, like you said, like whether I want it or not, I just know a lot about macros and how many grams is this, and I would never know without you and your interest and your sharing. So, again, just a huge benefit, because obviously it's super good to know all these things. So that's something good that has come out of
eating disorder. Yeah. That's true. Like, and I think also it's important to learn, for example, the love languages of each other, and to know, like, to learn that just because something is important for me, that doesn't mean that it will be important for you, and the fact that it's not important for you doesn't mean that you don't love me. So learning those things, I think, is a huge thing to build connection.
Yeah.
So let's say like some tips exactly to going through all this like transformation process, let's say, and in the same time build a strong relationship. I have learned with you to learn by acceptance and to experience a love by being real and not perfect. My first tip is to be vulnerable, to be in integrity with yourself and to be true to yourself and talk the truth always to your partner. Because when you are out of integrity in any part of you, it will drain energy and it won't let you to have a good relationship, and you will feel it. Okay, so now your turn to give a tip.
Okay, there is a lot to share, but for example, openness and flexibility, I think, is very important, and something that it sounds very easy, but we grow up with our beliefs and our way of doing things and our patterns of thinking, and we kind of want to do things our way. That's what makes us comfortable. And on the opposite hand is like uncomfortable to try new things or adapt to someone else. But the more you are able to do that, the more you're actually going to grow as a person, and the more you are going to learn. That's the openness part, and the flexibility part is more like...
I think that's huge also because we are a multicultural couple. And it's super important to be open because actually differences are very marked between us.
Yeah, and but we learn so much from each other.
Exactly.
So it makes it more interesting, more challenging, but more interesting.
Totally.
So two sides of the coin there. But about being flexible is like, if you're not flexible, you're gonna get like annoyed about all these small things that happen throughout the day. But if you allow that to happen and you have that flexibility, it makes your life so much easier and pleasurable, and it's actually in the things that you don't plan that maybe has the most excitement, in my experience.
That's great. And finally, the third tip that we want to give you is like release all your fears, because I think that has been a huge thing for us in any kind of sense of my transformation or all the challenge that our relationship has faced. Is like whenever I feel that, oh, if I dare to say this or if I dare to do this, I will lose you, then I have to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's no point to be with someone or not doing something just because you think you will lose the other person. And I remember, for example, this time that I was going to Ecuador, I told you like, yeah, but I don't know because I feel that if I go, we will probably break up. And then you told me, yeah, but then if you are afraid of that, it's time for you to go. And I think like even you feel also that fear, giving the freedom to the other person to leave and letting the other person be the one that choose is a huge thing in a relationship. Because then you break up all this dependency and all this fear that you are with someone because of you love, not because you are afraid of losing.
And also, when we are both like into self-development, it's also scary because you don't know what your partner is going to turn into. So you like think, okay, she's doing this super deep work, and what's gonna come out of that? Maybe she finds out that she wants to do something different. Maybe she wants to be single, or maybe she wants to, whatever could happen. So there is some fear related to change, but I think by now we are so used to that, and it's not scary for us anymore. But I know in the beginning, and also from past experience, that change is scary. But
I think it's still scary, and sometimes we are just like, I remember that maybe some weeks ago we were like, okay, we are so happy, what's going to happen? Or like you tend to find a reason like for things to not get as good as they are doing. But again, it's like release the fear, because the more fear you have, the least you can be.
So for anyone, it's like, if you're scared to share something with family or friends or whoever, you should probably do it. And by releasing that, is like you will feel so much better. And as we talked before, like then you can actually get good advice when people know what you're really going through. But
maybe not advice, but support.
Support, yeah.
Okay, so thank you for coming here. It was a pleasure to share this space with you. I hope you enjoyed this time, and
I did very much.
Thanks so much for listening to us. I hope that all these experiences and tools can become the boost that you need to dare to take that step that you have been thinking so much about. Please share this episode with whom you think is needing it. Take a screenshot and post in your media so more and more women will be able to live the life that they deserve. Whatever comment, suggestion or doubt you have, don't hesitate on texting. Just send a DM and we will be so glad to help you. Have a great day. Tons of blessings.